Okay, guys, so I decided to explain this through a video. So, no more memes, no more looking for memes on the web. Right, so, what are the purposes of teaching? Okay, mainly, you should find your own view on the relative importance of teaching, since this importance was not exactly the same throughout time. So that's why you should focus a bit on the historical context of the purpose of teaching, right? So this means basically that, for example, inside the purpose of instruction, in the 19th century, the most important aspects to bear in mind in students were procedural knowledge and skills acquisition, right? By this procedural knowledge, I mean helping children to acquire and use information, and with their skills acquisition, I mean acquiring some other manipulative and other physical skills, as opposed the different aspects taken into account in the 20th century, right? Why? Because in those times, other aspects were given more importance, such as conceptual knowledge and more complex skills acquisition, such as reading. Right. But the big question is, what about today's times, which I believe is the most important thing to consider? Well, in today's times, we should focus more on the metacognitive knowledge of the students. Does the student know what their best way of learning is? Do they know about their strengths and weaknesses? And well, a second major purpose of primary teaching has been socialization. So as to teach children how they should socialize with their peers, with their teachers, and they get to know what human rights are all about. They need to be socialized into the strange world of school. It's still very significant today, partly as a result of our increasingly complex, rich, multicultural society. So, primary schools are crucial points of encounter and contact. In the late 19th century, there has been a resurgence of concern about children's welfare, and this is also something very important to take into account. It's important to get to know children's feelings, um, to be sympathetic with them, uh, trying to be in their shoes in particular situations and stuff like those. Well, and one of the criticisms that we can appreciate from the author is this question of the fourth function of primary teaching, which is the classification of children in order to sort them out for their secondary education. So in the first 3 quarters of the 20th century, primary teachers played a major part in identifying children of different abilities and preparing them for different forms of secondary school. Like, for example, I don't know, like technical education, like what we call escuelas técnicas, or maybe one which is mainly focused on grammar or on science or whatever it is. That classification function still applies in those parts of the country that retain selective schools, and I believe that in our own country it functions as well. I don't say it's so bad as long as they respect this question of integrity of knowledge and they don't fragment the students' knowledge just in one particular area and try to integrate everything into one thing.